SlickJudge. Let's see. Anyone in chat want to give me a quick yes? We can hear everybody. Ryan, you want to make
Check,
a?
check.
That it looks like you're coming through on over here, so I'm gonna say that that's good.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
It is awesome to be doing this thing, and it's awesome to see you have all sorts of stuff going on the internet lately. Basically,
Yeah, it's kind of ramped up out of nowhere, huh?
Yeah, which is great. I love it.
Yeah.
So, first things up, kind of how I hit Dan too. Your name, SlickJudge, known across the internet as such. You want to give us a brief introduction to how that name came to be?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny story. It seems like it's on brand with Magic because there's judges in Magic, but it's actually has nothing to do with it. It just ended up being pretty serendipitous. So actually, what happened was a long time ago, maybe let's say 5-6 years ago, I was testing some mods on Skyrim, like everyone does naturally.
Nice. Yes.
So what happened was I was testing a mod, fired up the game, went into the beginning stages, and they asked for your name, your character name. I literally just mashed the keyboard. I just slapped my hands on the keyboard, and what came on the screen was SLKJDG. And just because my brain is funny like that, it likes to make order out of chaos. My mind, I immediately read it as SlickJudge, and I thought, that's kind of cool. Kind of rolls off the tongue. It's never heard a name like that before. Sure, let's name my character SlickJudge.
Yeah,
And I deleted it and typed in SlickJudge, and that was it. And that just ended up becoming my handle on everywhere except for my Magic Instagram for a long time, and that actually just got recently switched over for anyone who knows me previously as Gift of Aether.
I
had that.
That's funny. Yeah. I know that just happened, but I literally forgot about it completely. So rebrand success.
I've had a it was scary, honestly. I branded for a long time, had the same profile picture, the same name for like 3.5 years. And it meant the name meant a lot to me. And it became something I really identified with. But as I started to make these kind of big career changes in how I wanted to be seen as a content creator, I knew there had to be some consistency and continuity in who I was known as. And SlickJudge, as a fan of video games, just ended up sticking to me a little bit better. I identified it with it a little bit more when it came to Twitch. So I made the difficult decision to rebrand on Instagram, and I got a lot of support from friends and a lot of people complimenting me on the name change, and so I'm super stoked about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we got some people laughing at me in the chat because I've changed my Instagram and everything names like 3 or 4 times this year. Just had a very like manic year. I don't know.
yeah. It's like someone is going through something when they change their hair.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Someone dyes their hair. You're like, all right, we're gonna give them a few weeks to come out and talk about what they're going through. But that kind of like when I heard that you changed your name and it didn't really affect you, that I'd asked the guys, and they all said like, hey, like Cyrus did it. It didn't affect him, and I was like, cool.
Yeah, I usually lose about 20 followers and then they trickle back in over a week or two. Right. So it's not too bad. Right. Not too bad. Could be a lot worse at least. So the name, does it work because you have a strong grasp on Magic rules? Do people come to you with rules questions?
Yeah, so the rules have always been something kind of just in general about games and about whether board games, tabletop. Like I'm a big fan of D&D. I'm a DM myself, so rules are like, while I'm not a rules lawyer necessarily, I definitely appreciate how things are designed and how things are meant to be structured. So Magic being what it is, it's got dozens and hundreds. I think the rule book is somewhat like 300 pages or something ridiculous.
It's
Like,
infinite, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it's huge, and so I definitely gravitated towards playing the game as close to how it should be played, and so that just naturally caused me to dig into the rules. So that's kind of manifested in a way at my LGS. Our LGS is small enough that we don't have a judge at events all the time. So usually when we do events, I'll play in them, of course, and I'm usually there all weekend. Like, rip pre-releases, dude, no joke. Like, COVID, like, if it's done anything, it's made me miss pre-releases so much.
Yeah, I was for a long time I was only going to pre-releases in terms of events just because they're so fun. And yeah, as all these sets have come out, I've felt that for sure.
Right. So at these events, I'm definitely like the pseudo like stand-in judge. Whenever they start a pre-release event or a standard event or whatever was firing, they would always shout out, "Hey, if you have any questions about gameplay mechanics, just shout for Ryan. Try to find someone who'll get you over there." So yeah, that was always a lot of fun. And thinking about it now, and thinking about it a lot the past few months, is something that I want to pursue more seriously, and something I actually want to take the tests and do the classes and stuff for.
Totally.
So I think that'd be really fun.
Totally, yeah. I've done the first level and then I sort of gave up, but the tests are fun anyway. They give you all sorts of game scenarios. When you're doing that at the LGS, like I know I do a program for teens at the local library, or I was before COVID, obviously. Yeah. So you get a lot of sort of like really goofy rules questions, especially from younger kids. Do you have a rules question that stands out in your mind as something that you're surprised that people ask as often as they do?
Surprised that they ask? I don't think so. Thank goodness my LGS isn't as bad as it could be. But I think people there tend to have a fine grasp on the game. I do get a lot of questions about triggered abilities, and kind of like object permanence. So like card permanence and what that means for removal spells and blocking and things like that, where newer players or not as seasoned players have a hard time understanding that abilities still exist if they were on the stack before or after the permanent is there still.
Yeah, I remember being extremely mad when I figured out that that's how it worked as like an 11-year-old.
Right.
I was like, no, yes. I killed it. I killed it. It's gone.
Yes. Right. And then triggered abilities kind of in general, giving them the real simple, if, when, whenever, and the difference between like triggered abilities that have an activation cost in them, like a triggered ability that lets you like Mentor of the Meek, right? Like when a creature enters the battlefield with power 1 or less, you can draw a card. You can pay 1 and draw a card. You can only do it once. It seems like the way it reads that you can do it multiple times, but that's something that's kind of tricky. So that's one that I like to answer a lot. But yeah, nothing that stands out as being surprising.
Word. And yeah, and maybe this question came to me because I'm used to teaching like, middle schoolers and so the one that always blows my mind is tapping to block. Like everybody seems to think, like everyone when they're new seems to think you tap to block.
Right.
That
just
was
naturally.
kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because like everything else taps, right? You tap your mana to cast things, you tap your creatures to attack, so naturally you tap your creature to block as well. And once you kind of work through why tapping is so vital, they get better at blocking, right? Like they get better at attacking and blocking. So yeah, I'm teaching another friend of mine who's older, about my age, a little bit older, and he's played maybe 5 games or so, and he taps his creatures to block. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
just feels right.
Like, it just feels right.
Well, awesome. So another thing I know you kind of do helping out with your LGS is doing some online sales stuff. I know
Mm-hmm.
maybe through Instagram you sold some stuff too. I feel like people, or at least I did when I was younger, I sort of like glamorized this idea of slinging cardboard, selling cards. How does it is it as fulfilling as young Cyrus might have thought it is, or after a while is it just stuffing envelopes and sending them out?
So, that's a really good question. The thing for me is, I think what happened was I kind of jumped into it and didn't have a plan. I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have like a nice, easy way to send my cards. Um, I was getting the bigger envelopes. I was just sealing them in printer paper. And I was using handwriting everything. Do that a lot. And then I had no rules for my sales either. So I would just get a barrage of people haggling me on price when I'm already beating the best price you can find, like online at that moment for the condition. Um, I'm getting people like asking me to hold cards for 2 weeks until they get until they get paid. Like, so there was kind of this barrage in a few weeks where I was kind of getting all these kind of messages and trying to manage the amount of people that were coming in. Because what I had down for sure, and what I knew I wanted to have down, was generating a consistent schedule on these and hype. So that was this is a free pick a day, pick a time frame, and that's the only time you're selling. Say the sale is 12 hours, this sale is 24 hours. That generates hype. It generates urgency. Um, so that's huge. But I was at first I was super stoked, selling a bunch of cards, helping my LGS out, especially during COVID, um, because they're not able to sell cards like they were before. And so to me, I was very fulfilled by that aspect of being able to help them using my awesome community and my friend base, great value for them and stuff like that, and everybody would know. Um, and then I kind of took a dip in excitement about it for a little bit, and then I went to Staples one day, and I was like, "We're getting we're getting cards. We're getting little cardboard cards, paper cards. We're getting envelopes that fit them perfectly. We're getting labels. We're gonna get better tape. We're getting top loaders that are clean." And I just like spent like $30 on a bunch of supplies that were gonna like totally streamline my
Yeah,
process
that
because
quality
it
of
was taking
life.
me but it was taking my time
Mm-hmm.
too, right? Like I ended up like I'd be like, oh, I sold 15, I made 15 orders. And then I'm like, well, damn, I need to wake up tomorrow and do 15 orders on a Saturday morning or on a Sunday morning and get them out on Monday.
Yeah,
And it's
labels
like,
is the one that I was just like that
dude,
changed the game. Not having to write my own stupid address a million times
yes,
when
yes,
I was doing
labels were
meme
huge.
proxies.
So any of you who are watching right now and you have seen a huge increase in the quality of orders you're getting from me, this is my process. This is like where I was at. Like this was a very conscious, like active decision on my part to make it fun for me again by streamlining my packaging and my shipping, to make it just cost less time, really, because um, obviously I'm working during the week and things like that. But yeah, you have to figure out, you have to find the time. If you don't have the time to reply to DMs quickly, to be on top of things, order management's one thing. You have 10 people asking for the same card. You have to find the timestamp. Like it's tough. You have to be quick. Your buyers are quick, especially when you're saying, hey, boom, right here, be here at 9 o'clock. It's
Mm,
24 hours, best prices you can find. Generate that kind of very salesman pitch, but it works and people are there quickly. And so being on top of that is tough. You have to have the patience for it for sure. Otherwise, you'll just get burned out.
totally. Yep. Yep. Burnout is real, and there's a lot you can do to sort of stave it off. But yeah, it can get. I don't know, I was selling meme proxies. I am gonna do another batch at some point, and yeah,
Please let me know when you do.
getting actually set up for it definitely helps it not seem like a nightmare once orders actually start coming in.
Right.
So I did want to ask real quick about or I wanted to say congratulations first on Twitch affiliate status. That
Thank you. I appreciate that.
seemed to happen really fast, but I'm also just sort of like perpetually out of the loop. So maybe
Yeah.
you've been on Twitch for longer than I noticed.
No, it happened. It happened about as fast as it could, um, and I nailed it within my first 30 days, um, with the help of a lot of people, including you, including a bunch of people in chat who supported me by sharing my story, sharing my posts, just hyping me up and encouraging me through the process. Like honestly, I seriously couldn't have done it without my friends, both my online gaming friends, my family who tuned in, posting on Facebook, other people just interacting and just showing up for a sec. I had people who I hadn't talked to in a while be like, "How do I download Twitch?" Like, or like, "How do I like get the Twitch account? Like, how do
Mm-hmm.
I follow you? Like, how will it help?" Um, so it was just a huge um, outpouring of support, but I knew I also had to take that support and I had to ride with it, and I had to um, be diligent. I had to pick times. I did like streaming every single day is bad, right? I knew I had to only do it a couple times a week. Um, I tend to think of myself as pretty personable, so just engaging in the chat a lot, um, putting a bunch of stuff in my story, making sure that my URL to my Twitch was accessible, was easy to remember, was easy to find, and just stay positive about it, even though some nights were a little bit harder than others. Um, my very first stream gave me a really good buffer, it gave me really high average. And I was able to just really ride that, and I stayed consistent and diligent on my times and my advertising and my hype. Um, and we got there, and I'm super stoked about it.
Yeah,
Super
man.
stoked.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, you very consistent, very like, and all the schedule graphics and everything. You make it real easy to know when you're on and everything. So,
I
yeah, it's
appreciate
awesome.
that.
And
Yeah.
and friend
Yeah.
support can't say no. Chat is probably
Yeah.
like 80 to 90% people I know pretty well at this point. So
Yeah.
that's how to
Your
do it.
chat is also that number too, right? Like for
Yeah,
me, and that's and that part of my life has changed so much in the past few months, getting to know you guys and um, knowing what it looks like to be someone who's comfortable asking for support too, right? Which is equally as important as it being given to you. It's equally important for you to feel comfortable with those around you to request their support and say, "Hey, look, I need you to lift me up, man. I need you to help me."
for sure, for sure.
Um,
Well, we're
and you have the right people when there's no question. You
yeah.
know, there's no hesitation whatsoever.
No, we got some good people in our MTG lives going on right now. It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
So we're basically closing up. Thank you so much for being on here. I did want to ask as we transition out here into the musical guest if you have any musical suggestions for people who might be into some of the same sorts of music that you are, and if you want to tell us what that is as well.
Absolutely. So I'll give the like real simple answer of like you hear it a lot, but it's just genuinely true because I am very motivated by music. Like my thought processes, my emotions, my motivations, like are very fueled by music, and so I really do like all sorts of stuff. But what's cool is I have always, for a long time now, for probably let's say 12, 13 years, I've been very rooted in the metal genre. So, uh, hardcore, metalcore, um, post-hardcore, and then obviously I can name out 15 different subgenres that no one has ever heard of,
Oh yeah.
of metal. But obviously we all can agree that the metal umbrella is huge. But with that said, I've been listening to a lot of, and what I find cool is this genre is kind of coming back. Deathcore is coming back like crazy right now, and it's funny because deathcore was like cheesy back when I was in high school. Like
Totally.
I was like, I had to like listen to deathcore by myself at home. Like, and if anyone knew you listened to Chelsea Grin, like even though everyone liked Chelsea Grin, you didn't want to admit it because otherwise you weren't tough because pig squeals and whatever. Like so, deathcore is coming back and it's getting super heavy and it's much heavier. So a band I've been listening to a lot, which would be classified as like sludge, which is something you and I talk about pretty often, is this band called Traders. They're from Florida and they just got some real nasty stuff, real heavy. So I would put that kind of in the deathcore sludge genre. If you want to listen to something more kind of metalcore, a little bit more accessible in terms of like your like metal genre, there's a band called The Ghost Inside. Um, they've I've been listening to them for 10 plus years. Huge inspiration for me, and a band that has gotten me through some really tough times, especially this year. They were in a gnarly bus accident 3 years ago, and they had released this year. They released their first album since that bus accident, and it's just so motivated by growth and transition and just kicking life's ass. And so yeah, Traders, The Ghost Inside, and because I'm so much on sludge right now, Body Snatcher. Body Snatcher, I believe, is also from Florida, and Traders and Body Snatcher got a real similar vibe to them, but damn, they're heavy. They're that working out music. They're that music, that long day at work that's kind of got you stressed out and a little angry. It's good. And then Ghost Inside is like the tracks like you listen to on the way to work to get hyped, right?
Nice.
Like
Nice.
so those three albums like got a little bit of something for you, a little bit of feeling in all three of them.
Awesome, man. Thank you. And yeah,
Yeah.
I have to get my Spotify lists going so I can get a little
Oh
more
yeah, yeah,
involved.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Anyone in chat, seriously, if you guys want playlists, just ask. Just
that's
DM me on find me on Instagram or DM me on Twitch. I don't care where. Say, make me a playlist I like, or this is what I want to find out about, whatever, and I'll make you a playlist. No questions.
awesome. And Dan says if we don't plug his Bandcamp, then he's leaving. But everyone go find Dan's Bandcamp.
I'm guessing it's probably like
Only Dan's.
moderately not. Yeah.